Hello and welcome to the Positive Mindset Tribe, a refreshing and empowering podcast on how to become a magnet for love, abundance, and joy. And as you have probably guessed, it all starts with your mindset. I am your host, Veronica Moreno, a mindset coach, therapist, and energy healer, and my mission is to share with you my most powerful tips, psychological tools, energy healing techniques, so you can manifest the joyful, meaningful, and successful life you deserve. Are you ready for your weekly dose of motivation, confidence, and empowerment? Let's get started. Hello, my beautiful souls, and welcome to another episode of the Positive Mindset Tribe. Today, I have a very empowering episode for you. 5 ways we leak our power without realizing it and how to stop it. First of all, apologies as there was no episode last week, and if you have tried to book a free consultation with me, you might have seen that the calendar was blocked out, and the reason is that I have been feeling very unwell. I had an infection that got worse and worse, and I ended up with really high fever. I had to spend a few days in bed to recover, so last week was a complete write-off, which was really annoying, especially because I identified it as a clear form of self-sabotage and unresolved fears that were coming to the surface. But it has been a great wake-up call to bring this to the surface, although I would have rather this come to my awareness in a less painful way, I have to be honest, but sometimes it's what we need. So I will probably do an episode on this topic, on how unresolved emotions can show up as physical symptoms, and sometimes this can be a huge wake-up call and a huge way to learn if we see it the right way, because I have learned so much from this experience. It's been a real challenge, it's been tough, but I have learned a lot, so I will probably write an episode about it. But for now, let's go back to the topic of today on how to stop leaking your power. Now, the concept of leaking your power is very important, because when you are not in your power, everything goes wrong. You're at the mercy of life, what other people do and think, external circumstances. When you are not in your power, you are not in control, which means that you're basically just dealing with whatever life might throw at you, which is not a great position to be in. But when you are in your power, when you know that you have all the resources you need, when you believe in yourself, when you love yourself, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. It doesn't matter what's going on around, because you know that you have the power to change and all the resources you need to deal with anything that might come your way. So how do you know if you're leaking your power? Here are some common signs that might indicate that there are certain situations in which you're leaking your power. One of them is if you feel drained very often, especially in the presence of some people. It might be that you're leaking your power. If you don't feel in control of your life, but you feel more like you're just here to suffer whatever life throws at you. Another sign could be if you feel like life is not flowing for you the way you would like to, but you seem to can't change or take action to improve things. That might be a sign that you're not in your power. Another sign could be that you don't feel like you're living an authentic life that feels right for you, but instead it feels like you're living someone else's life. If you have that feeling that you're living someone else's life, maybe what your family expected you to do, that's a clear sign of leaking your power. And another one is negative self-talk. So if you often get caught in negative thoughts, potential catastrophic scenarios that you worry about that never happen, but it doesn't matter, that they take so much of your energy. This is another sign of leaking your power. So if that sounds familiar, if that resonates, what I want to share with you in this episode is 5 common ways in which you might be leaking your power without even realizing it, and what to do instead. So number 1, taking on the victim mode. When we take on the victim role, we are discounting our power and our resources. And when we are expecting someone else to change, someone else to help us, to rescue us, to do the work for us, to come up with a solution. Whether that's our partner, our parents, the government, it doesn't matter. It is a very dangerous trap that only leads to feeling disempowered. So watch out for comments like, poor me, things never work for me, there is nothing I can do, because in that moment, you are implying that you don't have power to change whatever situation you might be facing, and you do. So what to do instead? I did a whole episode, actually one of the first ones, about the drama triangle and the main 3 roles that we take on when we don't know how to meet our needs in a healthy way. And those are the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. So feel free to revisit this episode, which, by the way, did you know it's the most popular one out of all the 20 episodes I have recorded so far? The drama triangle, it's the most popular one by far. But basically, ask yourself, if you find yourself in the victim mode, ask yourself, how is this narrative serving me? And I know that probably automatically you might be thinking, well, it is not serving me. That is the point. Right. It is serving you in some way, because otherwise you wouldn't be behaving like that. There is always a benefit to it. Always. Even though it might sound crazy, even though you might be thinking, no, this behavior only leads to bad things. How can being a victim be good for me? No, it's not. But there is always a hidden benefit. And by benefit, I don't mean something pleasant or something good for you. I just mean something we get in exchange, right? Something we get when we apply this behavior, when we are in victim mode, right? So for example, if I don't know, imagine I'm in the victim mode because I can't find a job I like, because my job is not working, because, I don't know, let's think of that example. I feel completely disempowered and I can't seem to find a job I like. I'm jobless, I don't have any money in my bank account, so being a victim is clearly not serving me. But maybe it is protecting me from failing, and that is a benefit. Maybe it is, maybe I really don't want to look for a job. Maybe what I want to do is start my own business. Maybe I don't want to work. Maybe I want to take care of my children, and maybe I would like my partner to be more supportive, right? So there is always a benefit in any negative or limiting or behavior that maybe at first sight it might seem that is not serving us. And yeah, it's probably not in your highest interest, but there's always a hidden benefit that we achieve. And that is the question to reflect on. How is this narrative serving me? What is the hidden benefit here? What do I get when I do this? And maybe the answer is, this is just the only way I know to do things. That's how my mom used to behave, how my dad used to behave, how my grandparents used to behave, and I'm just copying this, and that's it. But there is always a hidden benefit, or there is always a reason why we do it. So the most important thing is, bringing awareness to why or how is this serving us. So number 1, taking on the victim mode. When we take on the victim mode, we are completely giving our power away. Number 2, blaming others for our problems. So here, pay special attention to the phrase, this person or this situation makes me feel this way. Because the moment you're saying this, you're giving your power away. You are implying that the person or the situation has control over you. You are deciding that that person has the power to make you feel this way or that way. And yeah, things happen in life, and you have the right to have an emotional reaction and to get upset, obviously. But ultimately, the way you manage any situation, the way the way you manage this emotional reaction, the way you snap out of it, the way you decide to move on and continue with your life, that is entirely up to you. No one can make you feel a certain way. It's entirely up to you and how much power you give to them. Another classical example of this is when we think that once my husband changes, or if my mom were different, or if only my boss treated me better, I would be so happy. And again, you can't wait and you can't expect other people to change because you don't have control over them. Same way, they don't have control over you, or they shouldn't. You shouldn't let them have control over you. You don't have control over them. You can't control if someone is going to change their behaviors, if your husband is going to be more attentive, if your mom is going to be less controlling, if your boss is going to value you more and give you a promotion. You can't control that. The only thing you can control, the only thing you can change, the only thing that is in your power is yourself. And I know this might sound a bit like a difficult one to swallow, but it is true. It is true. You can't change other people, and you shouldn't be expecting other people to change and relying on other people to change to be happy is a big mistake. Because even if you manage, to change whatever you want to change in your husband or your parents or at work, whatever, there is something inside that triggered that feeling in the first place. So even if you change one person, you might find another one, or you might find yourself in another situation where you have a very similar feeling, because that's how life is. It puts us in situations to learn. If we don't learn, the same situation repeats again, probably even a bit more painful to see if we get the hint this time. So the only person you can change is yourself, and the way you react about others and the way you interact with others. You can't change other people. So what to do instead about that one? It's going to sound very simple and difficult at the same time, but take responsibility of your life. And I know this is huge. This can be huge, but it can also be very simple, because this is a decision that only you can make. Taking responsibility for your life, taking responsibility for, from clearing your old stories and breaking free from any conditioning of the past, healing your wounds. Take responsibility for that. And it feels so good. Stop waiting for others to change, because most likely they won't. It's like being in a car in the passenger seat and expecting the driver to take you on the right path. They might do, they might not. The only way you can make sure you're going to get to your destination is to grab the steering wheel and to be on the driver's seat. That's the only way. And I know this can be scary, and yeah, you might need to push through a lot of resistance, fears and old beliefs, old patterns and programming. But trust me, it is so liberating when it finally clicks that you have the power to create your life. It is incredibly liberating. It feels free. It feels like pure freedom. You will feel truly empowered once you realize that, once you decide that, once you make that decision. And then once you make that decision and you stop waiting for everyone else to change, and you stop, caring about what other people do and what the circumstances are, and you just go and take control of your life, and you fix your stuff, whatever needs to be fixed, and you go and do your thing. It feels absolutely amazing. But that is a decision. It is a decision that you need to make. And maybe you're not ready to make that decision today, and that's fine. But it is really, really, really empowering to know that the responsibility for your life is in your hands and not someone else's. Sorry, I was just drinking a bit of water. Number 3, another way in which we give a power away is people pleasing. When we people please. So when you live your life trying to please your loved ones, trying to be perfect for everyone, trying to get validation from others, and you make decisions to keep other people happy, or because you know you will receive their approval, you are completely leaking your power. You are giving your power away, because you are kind of implying that you need someone's permission or validation to live your life, and you absolutely don't. You came here to live your life, to live your journey. And if you're not true to yourself, you're not being, if you're not being authentic to yourself, if you're not living your authentic life, and instead you're wasting all your energy on pleasing others, you're not being a better wife for that. You're not being a better daughter. You're not being a better friend or mother. You're just denying who you truly are. You're just rejecting yourself out of fear of being judged or laughed at or criticized or rejected. But if you're rejecting yourself and you're living out of alignment with your soul, it's probably one of the worst things you could possibly do to yourself. And I know, I think especially women, we receive the education, or we receive the message that we have to be there available for everyone, and that we have to be little princesses, always smiling and, always making everyone around us comfortable. And there is a balance, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you have to become a bitch, It's always great to be kind to other people, to have compassion to other people, to be nice and, to share your life and bring kindness and light to the world, which the world needs, to be honest, but not at the cost of not being yourself, not at the cost of making decisions that are not good for you because you're scared of what other people might think. That's where the problem lies. And that's where we leak our power. So what to do instead? I'm going to invite you to ask yourself the following question. If you knew that no one would criticize you, judge you, or reject you, what would you be doing differently? Another question for you. Does this look like the life I want for myself, or like the life others want for me? And another one. If I had all the money in the world, what would I be doing differently? And this is just an invitation to spend some time reconnecting with your true desires, to reconnect with what makes your heart sing, the desires of your heart, and to give yourself the permission and the validation you deserve, so you can start making decisions that are in your highest interest. Number 4, not setting boundaries. Another way to leak our power is when we don't say no to things that don't serve us, or when we don't protect ourselves and we let other people completely drain our energy. And this is so common, and this is really dangerous, because when we do this, it's not that we're not in our power, it's that we are basically opening up ourselves to anyone who wants to feed from us. This is really dangerous, and we do this all the time. And every time you go to an event that you don't fancy, but you feel like you have to go, you're using your energy for something that is not in your highest interest. Every time you have a coffee with that person that just wants to complain all the time and drains your energy and leaves you feeling completely drained and depressed and demotivated. Every time you answer that phone call that you don't feel like answering, every time you say yes to something that is not in your highest interest, you are saying no to yourself. So at some point, you will have to choose. It's as simple as that. When you're saying something that is not good for you, that is not serving you, you're saying no for yourself. You're hurting yourself. And again, like before, I'm not saying you should be selfish and only think about yourself. Obviously, if a loved one needs you, it's beautiful to be there for them. It's beautiful to help others and the people you love. But there needs to be a good balance between being there for people when it feels right and being there for everyone because you can't say no. And it might seem like the same thing, but maybe it's very subtle, but it is very important. It is not the same to be there for someone when it feels right to be there for someone. And when you have the capacity to be there for someone, that's very different for being there for someone when you don't feel like being there, when you know it's not good for you, probably not good for any of you, but you're still doing it because you can't say no. And again, this doesn't make you a better person. You just need to learn to set boundaries. Setting boundaries is so, so important. And in terms of energetic protection, we all have, I'm sure we can all think of one person in the family at work that after spending 10 minutes with them, you feel completely drained, completely demotivated. Any joy in the room goes. And we need to learn to protect ourselves, because otherwise we're giving our energy and our power away, and that time we're never going to get back, and that energy we're never going to get back. Yeah, we can regenerate, you can recover the energy, but that moment, that time, and that energy we spent with that person is never going to come back. So what to do instead? If this sounds like you, very likely there will be some belief about having to be there for everyone, maybe about being selfish if you say no. Maybe at some point you learned that your needs weren't important. And there is an episode, one of the first episodes I recorded was about beliefs, and identifying beliefs that are not serving us and how to clear them. And you have all the information you need. But I would like to invite you to reflect on any beliefs that come to mind, any programs that come to mind, any moments of time where you might have learned that your needs are not important, that you have to say yes to everyone, that you have to be available for everyone. Or just visualize yourself, like that commitment or that person that drains you, visualize yourself. Imagine yourself saying, no, I can't come tonight. No, I'm not going to answer the phone. No, I'm not available for coffee tomorrow. And see what's the reaction, right? Because normally, if you're not good at setting boundaries, as soon as you visualize yourself setting a boundary, something is going to be triggered. And do it with your eyes closed and spend a few minutes, just checking in with yourself, checking in with your heart, and see what happens in there. It might be the inner child saying, no, we definitely have to go. We definitely have to go. Ask her, what's going on for you? Why do we need to be available for everyone? When did we learn this? What happens if we say no? Maybe the inner critic will kick in and will start saying that, that you're selfish, that you only care about yourself. Is that true? Question those messages, that negative self-talk. Question it and fight back. Find evidence that is not true. But setting boundaries is so, so, so important. And last one, number 5, give energy to negative thoughts. This is a huge way in which we leak our power and we don't even realize it. We don't realize. If we knew how much energy we waste, how much power we lose when we entertain negative thoughts and our negative self-talk, we would stop doing it right now. And I have saved this one for last, but probably should have been one of the first ones actually. Because when we give our energy to negative thoughts, it uses up so much energy. The amount of, and I can say this from experience, the amount of times that I have felt exhausted from doing nothing, just worrying, just from worrying. And have you noticed that sometimes you're on your own and you're not doing any physical activity, you're not working, you're not doing anything, but you feel absolutely drained? Well, think about if you can think, or if you can remember those situations, think about what type of thoughts you were having those days or in those situations, because very likely you leaked your power and your energy engaging in negative self-talk and in giving energy to that negative self-talk. And the more you feed one negative thought, the more energy you waste. And the more you feed that thought, the bigger it becomes, the more energy it requires, the more energy you give to it, and it becomes a spiral of negativity and a spiral of wasted energy that, again, you're never going to come back, right? And there is an episode on how to stop negative thoughts that will give you a lot of information and ideas if you want to go to that one. But today I want to share with you one key idea, which is add meditation to your daily practice and learn how to bring your mind to the present moment. Train your mind to be present and focused on what is serving you, instead of getting caught by the spiral of negative thoughts. And yet, this is a skill that can be learned. You can train your mind the same way you train your body in the gym. Exactly the same. And it's a skill that, anyone can learn. And it's super important, and it has helped me so much, because when you meditate or you do any form of, mental training, you are learning to control yourself. You are learning to not feed those negative thoughts. You learn to at least to have the capacity to decide if you want to entertain that thought or not, instead of just getting caught in it automatically and feel drained afterwards. And by meditation, I don't mean you have to spend hours sitting in an uncomfortable position, trying to leave your mind blank. That's not what meditation is about. You just need literally a few minutes every day, setting an alarm on your phone, closing your eyes, and just bring your awareness to your breath or to a mantra, an affirmation, and just visualize, thoughts will come. That's normal. Just let them come and go, and visualize them coming and going like clouds disappearing in the sky, or like bubbles that you can pop up and they disappear. And if you do this a few minutes every day, and then you increase it to 5 minutes, and then you increase it to 7 minutes, and then to 10 minutes, and you do this every day, I promise your mindset will be in a totally different place. Because the problem is that when we don't train our mind, the mind controls us, and that is not a good position. Because then any random thought that the mind creates, you automatically get caught in it, and you give it more and more and more energy, and it starts to feed from you. And without realizing, you're feeding a negative thought or a worry, a potential catastrophic scenario, whatever it is. And this is really, really draining physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And when we are entertaining all these negative thoughts, it only leads to feeling disempowered. It is a very, very, very common way, and sometimes we are not even aware of how much we can leak our power, and we can give our power away when our mind controls us, when our negative thoughts or the negative self-talk is in control. So this is a huge one. Okay, my loves, so I hope you found that that useful. That is all from me today. I hope you found those little tips interesting and you start apply them today. I would love to hear from you, so let me know in the comments how you found it. A couple of announcements before I go. I'm now on Instagram. I just created an account and there are a few posts in there, and I will be sharing more content on new episodes and many other things, other events, guided meditations, shorter forms of content. So give me a follow and let's hang out in there at Veronica Moreno Coaching. I will leave a link in the show notes. Another thing is that I'm preparing a week of free live content that is going to be epic. And yes, I said a week of free live content, yes. That will take place probably the first week of August. I'm finalizing the last details. So keep your eyes open because this is going to be a great experience. I will be sharing more on Instagram, and also you can subscribe to my newsletter if you want to be the first one to know about this type of events. And this, I will leave the link again in the show notes. And last but not least, for anyone looking for more support or deeper healing, I would like to tell you about my one-on-one healing coaching program called Step Into Your Power. It's 3 months of one-on-one sessions and Voxer support. I've added this as a new feature. I'm changing the way in which I'm offering my sessions to make them more powerful, and so you can get better results. So they used to include email support, but Voxer is a platform, is like a messenger basically. I can offer a much closer support. It's much easier to ask questions, to share insights, for accountability. It's really great. So this is a new feature that I'm very excited about. So this 3-month program is a transformational journey to help you break free from the conditioning of the past, to rediscover your true self, and to master your self-confidence so you can create a life of joy and purpose that feels right for you. So if you would like to know more about it, please send me an email or book a free confidence booster session in the link below. And just one more thing before I go. If you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe and share it with your loved ones. Okay, my loves, sending much love and light to you all, and see you next week. Bye bye.